Hello everybody. I wrote a new poem, but the formatting got messed up. So I am going to record a macro for you before your eyes. So in fact, I'll probably, I think, undo a little bit here because, let's see, because I want to show you a little something. Oh, I guess it's already in there, pasted that way. All right. So I'll redo to where I was, undo once, and I am just going to get rid of these quote arrows at the beginning so I can give you a better idea of where I was. So you can see I did something just like this yesterday in this connecting the dots poem. So this poem is, I got a mic, I like to talk. I love to talk into the mic. I love the mic. I'm Mike Levin. I've got some tales, so let's begin. All right, so that's the poem. You see it here mispublished as one long line. That's because even though I put those quote arrows in, which is Control V, I got to remember to use, what is it? The Great Carmack. I got to use the Great Carmack to show you my keystrokes, but I'll start with that later. Shift I puts you in insert mode after Control V let you do a visual block selection. Shift period is the greater than symbol, the space bar, and then the escape key. And then I've inserted across multiple lines the markdown symbol for making a quote. Now, publishing that is what resulted in this. Just because you make it a quote, and you can see that little vertical bar, maybe, I don't know, on the YouTubes. I got to make my fonts bigger. I'm gradually editing my styles to move away from GitHub Pages Hacker to my own style, but connecting the dots ain't easy, so it takes a while. Anyway, let's format this correctly. We format it correctly by, as you can see, putting these singled in line breaks here. Now, I'll tell you, it would just perfectly well work with the version of that that's all tight and singleton without a closing bracket. However, the thing that's going on down there that you ought to know, as kind of a little bonus before we record the macro, is that proper modern HTML, such as the bold tag, always has a closing tag, which is slash and then the same symbol, normally nice and tight like that, so it looks a lot like that. Now, if you have a singleton, if something stands alone, like the paragraph tag is actually allowed to, but yeah, we're going to use the break because it's the one we're using here. If you use it standing alone to get rid of the ambiguity, and this is part of the XML standard, HTML has been upgrading, and there's a concept of well-formedness. For something to be well-formed, a singleton has to be self-terminating. So a slash goes there. The slash does not go at the beginning. It's not like this, or else that would say there's supposed to be a BR before it, like this. Begin BR, end BR. The slash goes before a closing character. But if something is a singleton, the slash goes at the end. Now, more and more, when I see singletons used properly, I see them used with a space in there. It's perfectly fine. And that's what I've been doing because I've been seeing it more. There must be some browser rendering issue out there. So I'm going with the flow and the mainstream. So a line break singleton looks like that. Okay, so I'm going to be inserting line break singletons at the end of each of these lines, but I'm going to do it with a macro. I'm only going to do it on the first line. So again, I should probably use Carmack. And let me do that. Let me see if I can give it a try. I need to go to a different screen that has access to the menu bar because, you know, I hide the menu bar. And I'm trying to get myself to use Carmack more and more. So I probably put it somewhere here, live casting. That's it. Karnak, not Carmack. Karnak. It's Johnny Carson, the great Karnak. Let's see. Is it going to show my characters? Oh, it's showing it there. See that? But it's not showing it over here. Maybe if I run it on that screen. Let's give that a try. I'm going to quit out of it here. And I really got to quit out of it. Things don't always quit when you think they do. It's Canon. Okay. So that is quit out because I don't see its icon. Now to run it on this screen, even though I'm full screen, you got to do function F11, worst keyboard combination ever. And now I'll run it here. And now I'll see, hey, there's keys showing down there. I'll have to make it clear where it's showing. I'll move my right offset all the way to the right so that it's not covered over by stuff. Ugh, that doesn't look like it's doing what I think it's doing. Top offset, bottom offset, left offset. Ah, there it is. Yay. Okay, that's going to let you see it. So the bottom offset, I should push it up a little. Yeah, and so for something of recording a macro, you should really see this. So that here is Karnak. Did I just... I'm sorry. One more time. Hopefully it remembered my offsets. It did not, but I know how I got it. I just slide it over there, and then I slide it up a little. Nice. Now I minimize it. Doofenshmirtz. All right. So now you can see what I'm doing. You're going to see me hitting the escape key a lot. This will be a pretty common pattern in Vim, right? This is what using Vim looks like. Bane of my existence. It's something that, you know, Bill Joy did back in the day when the escape key was not so hard to reach on the keyboard. All right, so I clearly have hit the escape key a lot. I did a, you know, gratuitous save. When is a good time to save? Now is a good time to save. That's always the answer. Okay, so I hit the Q key to start recording a macro. I hit the A key because I'm going to put the macro into register A. Now I hit Shift A to jump to the end of the line and also be in append mode. Now I hit the Shift period for the less than symbol. BR space / to close the singleton. Shift period. Oh, I guess it was Shift comma for the less than. Now it's Shift period for the greater than. 0. Oh, I made a mistake. It's in the macro now, but it doesn't matter. I'll backspace over the 0. I hit the escape key to get out of insert mode. So you common Vim mistake, not getting yourself out of insert mode for a movement command. Now I hit 0, and now I hit J, and I'll be able to show you the mistake in the macro and editing the mistake out. I hit Q to stop recording. Recording has now stopped, and now I can hit ampersand A to play back the macro that's in position A. Now again, I can hit ampersand A, but if you're going down a lot of lines, that's a lot of keystrokes. In Vim, the same way, the same command over and over is the most common version of that command. How YY is yank the line, DD is delete a line. At, my favorite Vim joke because of Star Wars, the at marches across Hoth. And it just replays your macro. And there you have it. I'm going to do a save, but now I'm going to show you my registers. I can type the whole word registers, or I could just type REG, but to make the point it's the registers I'm showing, I'll type registers. And if we look down here at register A, you can see the type is, I don't know, C, that must mean macro, I don't know, but there it is, mistakes and all, hitting the extra 0, backspace over it, and I can paste that into my Vim RC if I wanted to, the way you get these macros over as a little bonus. I'm not going to keep this one because it has the mistake in it, because I would record it over. It's easier to re-record a macro than to edit out your mistakes, honestly. But you get out of the register view, you go into command mode, or EX mode, or whatever it is. There's command mode by not being in insert mode, but then there's this other thing when you hit the colon. I got to get my terminology right to talk to you folks about Vim. But I am going to bad to the bone. That's buffer add ~/ which is my Unix / Linux universal path for home directory, vimrc. That means I have loaded into a next buffer. I've added to the vim buffers my vimrc, which means I can do :bn. Here's, oh no, :b last. Oh, that's my, so I'm in my journal thing, so I already had my vimrc loaded. Okay, so b prev. This is my helper file for my release system. B prev one more time. Here's my vimrc. Okay, so I could go down, smoosh on the J, bad practice, but find my list of already existing macros. O for insert a new line below. It's a lot like going in insert mode, but it also starts you on a new line below. And I could say let ampersand, I don't know, what would I do? Break. Do I have an R there? I do have an R. K for break the line. It's also in a quote. I don't know, I might change it, but I try not to use A, B, or C because, when I use these registers for other purposes, in fact, I put one in D. I'm probably going to delete that. It's too soon. I go from A up in order to put copy, paste, buffer, macro, register stuff. I don't like to overwrite this because it all goes into the same register space. I'm sort of rambling now. But speaking of the register space, now that I said let at k equal, what does it equal? Well, follow my keystrokes. It's double quote, A, because that's where I put it, P, because I'm pasting it in. I have to put quotes around it, so A to go into insert mode, but appending at the end, just like I did when I wrote the macro. Escape, and back, word back to the beginning. I for insert mode again, the quote. So now it's closed in single quotes to make it a string, because your macros have to be recorded as strings. Otherwise, it's going to try and interpret it as a command. Escape key, colon, W for save. And yeah, that's about it. Where was I showing you this? It must have been in my B2, my Mike lev.in, right? Because of the poem, right? Of course it's in mikelev.in. But if I were to now quit out and go back into all my journals, go to B2, go forward to where I'm talking about this. Let's insert 5, insert foo space escape. There's 5 foos, YY for copy the line, paste, paste, paste. ZZ to center it on the screen. Control V, J to go down, Shift I, greater than space, escape. Here's my foo poem to go along with my Mike poem. And I can play the macro that's in at K, at, save, run my release system. This is now all my, what do you call it? There's all the configure YAML files being written out. Various helper files, and then the sites themselves. mikelev.in is the first in line because it's the biggest. It's really so big because I ported my old WordPress site there, so it takes a little bit of time, and you can see because there's a bunch of gobbledygook that printed out, it actually had changes. These other ones don't have changes. And it takes a moment for the Jekyll system on GitHub to sort of kick in and see what you're doing, to get a taste of it, and to push out the static site converters, SSG, static site generators, they call it. I do a refresh, it is not updated yet. this is where you play Jeopardy music. Or, alternatively, Pat Sajak, top 10 answers on the board, survey says. Or you could do 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 do. Either will be acceptable. There we go, formatted. Shrink it back down. Naturally, we don't want our little foo poem in there. So we hit the space bar to get out of the release system. And I won't make you wait around for the rest of this, but I will run it again because I should. Next on the agenda is taking an image and doing this wonderful macro / markdown thing in order to keyword the image and turn it into proper markdown with web accessibility, with an alt title. And I don't know if I'm going to live cast that one, but that's certainly the next thing I'm working on. In fact, I'm going to Control-C out of this. No need to make you wait for that. Screen redraw stuff is sometimes a real problem there. I have the proper screen redraw command in my release system when it exits out of the release system, but it's not in my fingers yet, so I often just quit and reload. Anyway, the little things, big changes. You should read this one because it really sets the stage for the foghorn leghorn graphic that will be inserted at the bottom of this post. It's the one that really came after the poem. The poem was one post ago already. So foghorn leghorn and maybe the little chicken hawk is going to be inserted as an image at the bottom of this article, but I'm going to do a very slick macro, is why Vim macros are on my mind, which helps me with the I guess, yeah, it goes, alternative web accessibility text here, image, let's say, keyworded image file.jpg here. And that's pretty much it. The idea is that I just have the equivalent of the real life example of this, which would be like foghorn leghorn, or I hit Y twice. I hate when I do that. That copied the whole line. So you go into visual mode, you highlight it, you hit Y once, and that copied it. If you do Y twice, it gets the whole line. And so, I have a keyworded image file, and then I hit a macro, and the macro turns it into this whole format using a proper cased version of this in here. And I already wrote the macro. When you this is why it's coming after the look around you. You look around you for your to-do list, right? That's what this is about. What's most broken? Where's the biggest bang for the buck? What plates need spinning? And then I go through, the fact that when I look around, one of the things I look around at is my Vim history. So you go in here, and now the one place you can and should use up and down arrow keys in Vim. Everywhere else you use H, J, K, and L for arrow keys. But here you can go through your arrow keys. And somewhere in here, I know from yesterday, is my macro for doing that. And I'm going to find it, and I'm going to make it a permanent macro so that I can, just copy an image, save it, put it in the right location for the GitHub Pages Jekyll system, and paste it into a journal entry, use a keyboard macro, and have all the appropriate web accessible keyworded stuff inserted. So accelerating effect, compounding returns. Nothing is a project. Everything is a little thing, and little thing builds on little thing, builds on little things. For the snowball effect, life moves forward. So that's what's coming next. Don't know if I'm going to do a live stream. Chime in if you'd like to see it. I don't really look at what you folks are saying too much, or whether everyone's even here. But wow, got up to 7 views, 2 simultaneous. That's new. Thanks for joining me. Hope to talk to you again soon. And don't forget to subscribe.